The latest beauty products to advancing in computing technology. These are the men and women who are changing the corporate landscape and the world, some might say. Fortune magazine is revealing this year's top business leaders. Joining us right now for a First on Fox interview is Fortune deputy editor Brian O'Keefe. Brian, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to see you.
So what were you looking at in terms of how you put this list together?
Sure. Well, we do a lot of screening every year when we're doing this. We look at revenue growth, profit growth, stock return, return on capital, a bunch of financial metrics, and then we have, sort of the X factors, who's influencing business, shaping business, changing business, and kind of put it all together in our secret formula. And we look at who's really been on top the last year. We also kind of screen over 3 years to make sure it's not just kind of a fluky run. And then we end up with our top.
All right, don't give it away yet, because we want to take you from 5 to 1. The highest ranking woman on the list this year comes in at number 5. She is Ulta Beauty's Mary Dillon. You'll know his company at number 4 as you do your holiday shopping this year. Coming in at number 4 is the CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. In the third spot is another internet entrepreneur, Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff. Number 2 from the banking world, that's JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon at the number 2 spot. And drum roll, please, the number 1 spot belonging to the CEO of NVIDIA, that's Jensen Huang. Jensen Huang is the number 1 business person of the year. Brian, tell us why.
Well, the record is incredible. I mean, I'm sure you guys have been talking about NVIDIA's stock over the last couple of years. I mean, if you look at it, of stocks in the Fortune 500, NVIDIA is easily the best performing stock over the past 3 years. Total return to shareholders over 1,000%. It's basically in a heat to be tied for first over the past year or two. But like if you look at its revenue growth, profit growth, return on capital, they're all spectacular. But beyond that, the big story is NVIDIA is making the chips that are powering the future of computing right now. They're making the chips that power gaming, movies, but also deep neural networks, AI. And so Wall Street is super excited about what they're doing, and their business is just booming.
You talk about the X factors. Tell us about Huang's X factor. Why does he top your list? What does he have besides all the metrics that you talk about? What is it that makes him a special business leader?
I think, well, I mean, a couple of things. First of all, just what they're doing, the vision that he's had, because what he saw years and years ago, 10 or 15 years ago, I mean, we have a quote in the story where he says, I didn't change my slides, basically what I was talking about, for 15 years. He saw where computing was going and the kind of computing that big companies were going to want to do, and he said, we need to design those products. So he invested in that, and now, like, that moment has arrived, really, for NVIDIA.
What does NVIDIA's success mean for Intel? We're so used to talking about Intel as the leader in chip making. Is this a real threat to their future?
Well, you also have to look at Qualcomm and what's going on there with Broadcom, and Qualcomm trying to get together with Broadcom. I mean, the chip business is hot.
I mean, if you look at the stock price of NVIDIA versus Intel or AMD, I mean, it's just off the charts. They're not even really on the same radar. Of course, NVIDIA is a smaller company, growing faster now. But I think really, that's what Jensen Huang did. That's why he's the business person of the year, is he kind of saw where the business was going and he went there, right? And, Intel is a giant ship. It's harder to kind of catch up, when things are changing. But definitely, NVIDIA is a powerful new player, and I think everyone's trying to sort of adjust to this new world.
So are they a threat? I guess what I'm getting is, are they a threat to Intel? Does Intel have to watch its back?
They have been.
I mean, I think they've been looking at what NVIDIA is doing, and everyone's trying to adjust to this new world for semiconductors.
Brian, I'm curious, when I look at your top 5, 4 of those companies are very new, kind of glamorous companies, right? Beauty, tech, and then there's JP Morgan, right? A very old company, right? With a CEO that we wouldn't view as glamorous necessarily. So tell me about that. About how does Jamie Dimon get on that list? How does he stay at number 2?
Well, their financial performance has been incredible. I mean, he was a steady hand guiding them through the financial crisis. I think they have $2.6 trillion in assets.
Wow.
Their stock return over the last year has been incredibly strong, and just, he's just really done an amazing job kind of guiding them through the business cycles.
He's an excellent leader. There's no doubt about it. Let me ask you about last year's number 1, because last year you had Mark Zuckerberg as number 1. He's dropped to 13 this year. Why?
Well, I mean, I think the performance is still really strong. I think, I think they're going through some struggles, not really on the business side. They're still turning out huge profits, but I think they're trying to figure out, how they manage their platform, how they manage this tool. We have over 2 billion people on Facebook, and they have this challenge to kind of make sure that they're they're delivering on their responsibility on how they manage content, deliver content to people. I think that came into it a little bit. A lot of it really is just the metrics. I mean, not to demean what Facebook's doing, they're still an incredible financial performer. We just didn't see them at the very top this year.
You know what I think one of the stories are going to be for the next decade or for the next 5 years is a heavier hand in terms of regulation on some of these technology companies. I mean, they've got more power today than they've had ever. They know everything about us, and they've got data on us in everything. You wonder if they're going to see a heavier regulatory hand.
Well, I think they are. I mean, they were basically called to Congress the other day and told, like, fix this or we're going to fix it for you, which is, they don't want that. Right.
And Google right now is under attack. So that's
a lot of the companies on your list are tech and finance companies. I'm just going down it. NVIDIA, JP Morgan, Salesforce, Amazon, MasterCard, PayPal. Are we back to the future, so to speak, tech and finance? I mean, they're the ones that drove the business cycle in the late 90s and then again in the 2000s. Are we kind of right back where we started?
Well, let's not forget healthcare.
Healthcare is huge. I mean, I think not only are a lot of those companies tech companies, but some of the ones that maybe don't jump out as tech companies are on there because they're going through a tech transformation, or they've really been able to embrace technology and use it to transform their business. Some people would say all companies are tech companies right now, or they need to be. I mean, an exception might be something like Ross Stores, which is on the list, which is an interesting retail story. But really, it's hard to be a company and be a top competitor right now without embracing technology, making your business more efficient with technology, looking at AI, although that's, just kind of coming into play.
One of the questions I have, too, is my clients all the time, when you talk to them about their aspirations, they used to say, I want to be like Apple, right? I want to be the innovator, I want to be thinking, and all that. I hear that less and less, and more people saying, I want to be like Amazon. So my question to you is, what's happened to Apple here on this list? Because I noticed it's not there. And second of all, what are the factors that make things fall off?
Well, I mean, it comes back to, we really do all this screening, and we kind of come up with our list of the top performing companies, and then we winnow it down based on these other factors. I mean, Apple really didn't come up on the performance metrics near the top this year. So that's where it is. I mean, Apple is still obviously a tremendous company, producing incredible technology, but it's a huge company. It's hard to kind of keep it growing at the same pace, when they are where they are. So, I mean, that's a big part of the answer.
All right, we will leave it there. Brian, great list. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Good to see you. Brian O'Keefe, Fortune Magazine.